Hi everyone, and welcome to the Book Refuge, and welcome to another recommendations video. And this one, which if you can't tell, is for Nanny / Governess recommendations. I was sure that I had already done a recommendations video for this because it is one of my favorite kind of tropes, especially in historical romance, which there's gonna be mostly historical romance for this recommendation, but I do have 3 recommendations for contemporary romance, which you have probably heard of these ones before, but you know, sometimes I'm like everybody else, sometimes I'm not, but I just was really excited to bring these to you today. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive into these. These are my favorite Nanny / Governess recommendations. And I mean, I guess the difference basically is that when it's in the present time, it is a nanny, and when it's in historical times, it's a governess, because that's basically what they were. So let's go ahead and start with, I'll start off with the one that a lot of people know about in the romance circles, and that is Rafe by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This book is so much fun. It is about a male nanny named Rafe who becomes the nanny to these 2 girls with a mother. So this mother is, I believe she's a doctor, and she has twin girls, and she is recently divorced from her husband. Her children are mixed race. She is black and her husband was white, and the girls are needing a nanny. And so the mother hears about this guy named Rafe, who he has just kind of finished his employment with another family, and he isn't sure if he wants to take on another family. And then he hears about this woman and is like, wow, she's really cute and her kids are really cute, I want to give this a try. And then they end up being inexplicably drawn to each other, because Rafe, he is like, well, you can see the cover right here. He is beautiful, and he's just so funny and sweet, and the way that they kind of like broach being interested in each other is really cute. And so I really enjoyed this read. I've really enjoyed a lot that Rebecca Weatherspoon has done, and so yeah, you should definitely give this one a try. Okay, so the next one is also one of my favorite books to bring up because it fits into a lot of tropes that I really like, and that is Irresistible by Melanie Harlow. This is an age gap, but it's not a taboo age gap at all. This is a 26-year-old girl named Franny, and she is falling for the business manager of her parents' hotel / orchard / cider making business, and she has been nannying his 3 girls for him because him and his wife have recently got divorced, and he's also an ex-Marine, and he is just really falling for Franny. He thinks she's gorgeous, but he feels like he's too old for her. He's only 10 years older than her, and again, she's 26, he's 36, and you know, he doesn't want to have any more kids, so he doesn't want to take that away from her. And Franny, she's been really sheltered by her family because she's the youngest of 5 daughters, and she was really sick when she was a kid. She had a heart condition, and so her family has always really cocooned her and taken care of her, and she's looking for more independence. And I just love how these 2 get together. I love his daughters. I love Franny, how she's the one who's ready to go for this, but Mac is really kind of holding back, and I just really love their connection and interaction with each other. I think it's really, really beautiful, and this is it's super hot. It's really fun. Then I have A Nordic King by Karina Halley. This book is part of her Nordic Royal series, and this is about, I think the king's name is the King of Denmark. What's his name? Axel. His name is Axel, and he has 2 daughters, and his wife died in a really tragic way a few years earlier, and then when this new nanny gets taken on, they just immediately have a connection. This one's also an age gap because I believe he's almost 40 and she's in her early 20s. For them, the age gap really isn't a thing. It's more of he's the king and she's a commoner and his employee. This one I really enjoy because Axel, obviously he has people after him. He has, you know, he's the most eligible bachelor in where he is. He's the king. and he was kind of done wrong by some situations in his life before, and so he's very cautious about love, as he would need to be anyway, as being the king. And so he's really scared to kind of fall for anybody. And also he knows that the power dynamics, that he's very aware of his own power dynamics, and so I really appreciated that that is addressed in this story, where he understands that he needs to be careful about how he were to woo someone to make sure that they don't feel uncomfortable or that they don't feel that he's abusing his position. And I think Axel is very thoughtful about that, and so I really appreciated it. This is the case too. A lot of times you're going to see in the dynamic of like a nanny and a dad, or like a governess and a father, is that they're usually like a grumpy hero sometimes, and I really love the grumpy hero who then when you get to see him with kids, you get to see him with children, is just so cute. And so I really appreciated how he handled that, and just the kind of man Axel was, and the pain that he's holding could really have kept him from loving someone, and I just love seeing it unfold in this book. So this entire series is really fun. But I really loved A Nordic King. It was probably my favorite one in the series. Okay, so now we are going to get into my historical recs for this, and I'm so excited. So the first one I want to talk about is Married by Morning by Lisa Kleypas. Yes, I'll give you the step back. This one's not super spicy or anything, but it's fun. So this one is about Catherine Marks, who she's been more of a companion to the youngest Hathaway girls, but she was also like teaching them deportment and manners because they grew up without anyone teaching them that. The Hathaways are kind of crazy and wild, and I love them for it, but it makes them stand out like sore thumbs. So Catherine has been their governess slash companion for the last few years, and we've been watching through this series. You've been watching her sparks with Leo, who is the heir of this family, and he has went through some crazy stuff in the previous novels. We watched him kind of like get over grief and get over addiction, and him and Catherine have just always had this crazy sparking relationship with each other. And Catherine is holding some pretty dark secrets, and I really hate that trope a lot of times, especially in historical romances, where it's like one person's holding a life or death secret and they can't tell. But the secret she's holding, I can understand why she's holding it. So I was okay with it, because sometimes that is a thing. We keep secrets from people that we care about. But this one's also so fun because it is a real hate to love, and they just go 10 rounds with each other, and I just love it. But the chemistry is so strong, and I just love this couple. I had such a fun time with them, and I can't wait till I reread this book, because I was just so surprised by them as I was reading it, and it was really fun. So yeah, so Leo and Kat are quite an interesting couple. I really love them. Next, I have The Rules for a Proper Governess by Jennifer Ashley. So this is a book in the Mackenzie McBride series. This is on the McBride side of things. And we have Sinclair McBride, who is a barrister, which is kind of like a lawyer. And he works in the court system, basically defending people. And he gets pickpocketed by this woman named Bertie. And sorry, the lighting, you never know what you're gonna get some days. And he ends up catching her because she steals a watch that his wife had given him, his deceased wife, obviously. And he ends up going after her into a really dangerous situation, because it's the only possession he has of his wife's that like is a gift from her. And he actually has 2 young children. And so after their interaction with each other, she ends up kind of following him. She's kind of stalking him a little bit, because she's just in awe of him, and it's really, really cute. And he's a really sad man. He's a little bit loony. He still talks to his wife. He's been asking her for a sign to move on, and so it's really cute, because then he runs into Bertie and she tries to pickpocket him. And Bertie ends up saving his children from an accident, and then like the governess who's taking care of them at that time, she just ditches Bertie with the kids. And so Bertie brings the kids home, and then Sinclair threatens her that she's going to stay and take care of his kids until he finds someone new, because she's the only one who can handle them. And it's really not a big imposition for Bertie, because she already has a thing for Sinclair. So this is cute. Then, I mean, if you're doing governess romances, you have to do The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. Here's the step back of this one. This one is about Alexandra Mountbatten and Chase Renaud. And so he's a duke who he takes on, I believe these are his wards. Yes, so he has 2 wards that Alexandra is going to be taking care of for him. And she's also trying to like reform him at the same time so that he'll be a good influence for his wards. And he doesn't want to do that. So there's really pretty chemistry in this one. I really enjoy the girls in this one. They are really wild, which is sometimes the case in these books because that's why, you know, it's an exasperated governess or it's this or that or the other thing. And I just really enjoyed how, like, you could see that the things the girls were doing were to get attention from Chase, and how Alexandra is really able to like show that to him, that this is why these girls are acting this way. They're trying to get attention from you. This is what they want. They need a parent in their lives, and that's you. You know, that's you. Like, I can help, but you're the influence that they need. And so I really enjoyed that, and it's just classic fall for the governess. I love it so much. Okay, so then I have 7 Minutes in Heaven by Eloisa James, and this one's really fun. So for this one we have Eugenia Snow, who I believe she is a bastard because Snow is the last name that they give to bastards. Like, that's not just a Game of Thrones thing. I might be making that up. It's been a little while since I've read this, but she actually like runs a governess like company. And then we have Edward Reeve, who all of the governesses she's been sending him haven't been working out for his wards, or they haven't been strong enough to handle them. And so he demands that because none of her governesses are working for him, that her, the owner of the company, the runner of this, she needs to come and watch his kids. And really part of it is that he's really intrigued by her and he wants her around him. So he kind of sort of kidnaps her into this. Part of it, like, they end up making a deal about it, but he really wants to get his hand. That's a disappointing step back. Come on, Eloisa James, you know better than this. But anyway, so she's supposed to be there for like 7 days, and she promises to like help reform his wards, his children, whatever. And I just really loved it. I love the tension that Eloisa James has. This is one of her like standalones. It fits in with some of her other books in the, I think it's like By the Numbers or whatever. So there's a few characters that cross over, but I really love this one. This is one that I've only read recently, actually. I have a few Eloisa James that are her like standalone ones that I've like saved because I want to get to them when I get to them. But I really, really enjoyed this one, and I loved the Edward Reeve and like what he was willing to do to get Eugenia into his life. And then the last book I want to talk about is The Highlander by Kerrigan Byrne, and this actually kind of inspired me to do the recommendations for this. I'm reading through the Victorian Rebel series, and it's a really dark historical romance series. Everyone in them has went through some really harrowing experiences, and oh my gosh, I love them so much. And so this one is an awesome mix because it's Scotland and it's a governess story, and I love it so much. So the setup for this is that we have Miss Philomena, who she's actually married, and her husband put her in a mental asylum because in a previous book in the series she helped out our heroes to like stop an assassination attempt, and she was punished for that by her husband because he put her in an insane asylum where she's being horribly abused. For 5 years of her marriage with her husband, she was assaulted and mistreated and made to do things that felt sexually perverse to her because they weren't done out of love. And then he threw her in an asylum to rot, basically, so he could continue to do drugs and sleep with whores and ruin his life without her there. She is barren as far as they know, and so he also punished her for that, for not giving him an heir. And we see all this in like the first chapter. We actually start this from her point of view until we meet our hero, who is Liam Mackenzie. And we meet him for the first time through her eyes. So she ends up getting rescued from this asylum. Again, this is the setup of the story, how she becomes the governess. She ends up getting rescued from the asylum by some of our previous heroes, and one of their half brothers, who is Liam Mackenzie, is looking for a governess for his 2 children. And so she was a viscountess. She, you know, knows how to be a lady, and so they set her up as a governess, and they change her name a little bit, and they send her off to Scotland to be in hiding, basically. And then we meet Liam Mackenzie, who he is called the Demon Highlander because when he was in war, he went into every battle expecting to die. So he would fight as fierce as anyone, and he would succeed time and time again. And usually that meant that he fought like a demon. And so he has this really bad reputation. And so he lost his wife quite a few years back, and he hasn't been around for his children for most of it. And now he's back home, and he realizes that his children need some guidance. And so, yeah. And one of the things I love about this series is that it's a historical romances, but it really feels like a fated mate stories to me. Like each of our couples who meet, they have this immediate like animal attraction to each other and just feel called to the other person. And I love reading that in a story. It's not like insta love, it is insta lust, of course. They're immediately attracted to each other, but it's deeper than that. Like it's at their soul level, and I love that so much. So this is number 3 in the series. Of course, you don't have to read them in order, but I loved this so much. So there you go. There are some books with the governess / nanny trope. Let me know some of which are your favorite, historical and contemporary. So thank you so much for watching. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week, and you can watch some more of them right now. Bye.